Welcome to the Ola Hawatmeh show on American One. Thank you to our special sponsor, Speed Pro, Tom Izzo out in Plano, Texas. Thank you for sponsoring today's show. Our special guest, Jay Collins, state senator out in Florida, Green Beret, freedom fighter. Stay tuned. His story next. As a conservative activist working on campaigns throughout the entire country, I know how important it is to find a reliable print shop. From banners to yard signs to palm cards, well, Speed Pro does just that. Tom Izzo from Speed Pro, Frisco, Texas, is my new sponsor on the Ola Hawatmeh show on American One. They can be reached at 972-403-9955, providing all of your print needs for your campaign throughout the entire country. 972-403-9955. That's Speed Pro. Today, my special guest, a Green Beret, one of the first Green Berets on my podcast, but also just such an overachiever. What he does for America. He in Florida, elected state senator, passing bills, doing what he can to save America. With us today, Jay Collins. Thank you for coming on.
Ola, thank you for having me. It's an absolute honor and privilege. I appreciate the kind words. We just like to think of it as opportunity, right? Life presents us opportunities. It's up to us to make the most of them.
Absolutely. Now, as a Green Beret and what you're doing, I mean, obviously it's a little difficult, but you've overcome challenges. Tell us a little bit about that and how you've overcome those challenges.
Well, again, I like to think of them more as opportunities as opposed to challenges, right? It's an opportunity to overcome. So, back in 2007, we were in Afghanistan. I got hit by a mortar. These injuries ended up leading to the loss of my left leg about 6.5 years later. As we went through a very long, drawn-out limb salvage process, I was still operating, still working as a Green Beret, working at the highest levels of our government in, pretty unique organizations within the DoD. Very blessed to have been a small part of that community. And ultimately, it got to the point where I was in so much pain every single day. My leg was falling apart. I was in a brace up to my hip every single day just to walk, jump, run, whatever. And, it's like the frog in a pot. You don't realize how bad it is until it's gone. And in January of 2014, we amputated my left leg. I woke up 3 days later and had no pain relative to what I've been going through. And about a year later, I was blessed. So I was given the opportunity to requalify as a Green Beret. We did that. Since then, I've run 27 marathons. When I retired from the military, I started working for a nonprofit. I ran a bike across the country from Los Angeles to Tampa and over to the East Coast. And now I'm blessed to represent Hillsborough County, Tampa, Florida, as a state senator. So I'm grateful.
You are an inspiration. Your positive energy. We need more leaders like that, and it's contagious. I actually lived in Apollo Beach for a year, and I love that area. And I love the fact that you don't look at them as challenges. You see them as opportunities. And as a father and as a leader today, we're talking about the biggest issue I feel is our school system and the fear that we have with our children. As an elected official, what do you say to that? I mean, how do you feel about the direction America's going in with our children?
So, Ola, you're hitting the nail right on the head, right? I didn't get into politics because I dreamed of being a politician. I can promise you this is the last place I ever thought I would be. Really, probably the last place I want to be. But this is where God needs us. This is where our country needs us. And this is where our children need us. If people who have bled for things, built things, and truly understand what our nation is built on, what our republic is framed on, aren't a part of this process, nothing will change. I have two beautiful little boys. They're 11 and 8, and they are the exact reason why. Our nation is so dynamic and so unique throughout history. It is our responsibility, and this is resolute. This is something that is concrete and should be in each of our heads. We were passed freedoms God-given freedoms, constitutionally upheld at the federal level, the state level, by our forefathers. It is our responsibility to protect those and pass them on to our children. When we sat on the sideline, we watched what was going on with the Biden administration, the failures in Afghanistan, the failures across our country, economically, socially, intellectually. I was appalled, and I thought, what do we do to fix this? I didn't see people that espouse my values. I didn't see people that I thought were built for the fight. And I decided I can't sit on the sideline and forsake my children's future for my comfort. So I got involved. And that's led us to where we are. But to your point, we are in a position where we can't answer simple, black and white, concrete, resolute questions. What is a man? What is a woman? We are not divided. We are one people under God, constitutionally upheld. It doesn't matter how much melanin you have in your skin. It doesn't matter where you're from. I was raised dirt poor in a trailer park in northeastern Montana. And if I can get to where I am, anybody can get to where they were, because I didn't have it all put in front of me. And only in this country can we do that. And we have to protect and preserve those pieces for our future. So this fight is the right fight, but there are more people like us, more people who believe in what we're talking about. And one of the big things that I like to talk about is, as a Green Beret, we call ourselves the quiet professionals. But quiet and silent aren't the same thing. When you're silent, people speak for you. When you're quiet, people wait to hear you speak. We've got to use our voice. We have to get involved. We have to solve these problems now so our children can pass off freedom and the American values we love to their children and the follow-on generations.
Amen. I love what you're saying. And you say the word God, which we definitely need back in America.
That's right.
And you don't hear a lot about that. And politicians, you are not a politician. You are someone that sacrificed and decided to make some changes. And so you threw your hat in the race, and so proud of you. And I'm sure your children or your boys are proud of you as well. How is the politics out there in Florida?
You know, we have this guy here you might have heard of, Ron DeSantis. So when I met him for the first time, I had been running for U.S. Congress. I was a young gun. I had been picked up, and we had a good shot of winning the seat we were in. And there were probably two human beings on the planet that I would have diverted what we were looking at for the benefit of others, and had that conversation immediately. One was Governor DeSantis. And I believe in his vision. I believe in his leadership. But most importantly, I believe in his results, right? I've lived my life by a simple ethos for many, many years. It's deeds, not words. People are so tired of hearing politicians talk. It's talk and talk and talk. The results speak for themselves. People are running to Florida. They want to be here because our economy is on point. Socially, we are fighting for the right things. We believe that there is a man, there is a woman, and education is a choice, that we should be able to have money follow the child, that we should have parents at the forefront of what goes on, and parents have a voice. And we have fought to preserve and protect those parental rights and voices. And it matters, right? We talk about gun rights. I was blessed to get to carry the constitutional carry bill for the state. We have so long have we legislated for the one-off, the people who do the wrong thing. When are we going to start legislating for the average American who does the right thing, who works their tail off? They give all they can for their family and their community, and they have the God-given right to protect their family, and the right to bear arms is constitutionally upheld. We have to legislate for them. Those people, we represent everybody. And, you know, that's what we're doing. Florida is prime. We're leading the way. We're setting the standard. One of the things I joke about is our number one export in Florida is not oranges or orange juice. It's freedom.
As a conservative activist working on campaigns throughout the entire country, I know how important it is to find a reliable print shop. From banners to yard signs to palm cards, well, Speed Pro does just that. Tom Izzo from Speed Pro, Frisco, Texas, is my new sponsor on the Ola Hawatmeh Show on American One. They can be reached at 972-403-9955, providing all of your print needs for your campaign throughout the entire country. 972-403-9955. That's Speed Pro.
Well, it's not the same in New York, and our leaders are definitely not the same. You not only talk the talk, but you walk the walk. You actually have passed some bills and working on them. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, it comes down to courage, candor, and commitment. The courage to do what's necessary, the candor to use your voice and speak when you have to, but tell the truth, and the commitment to follow through. I told people I was going to focus on economy, education, and safety in our community. And that's our dance space. That's where we operated. That's where we worked. And that's what we ended up doing. We ended up working 30 bills. That's my max number. I believe we passed 21 as the final number. So very, very successful. And these are things that matter to people. I told you about the constitutional carry bill, but we kind of blended that and amalgamated that with school safety. So we worked on our behavioral program, looking at our strengths as a state. How do we make our schools safer? How do we improve our communication in these schools? That was a big part of it. I got to run the countries of concern bill, blocking countries like China, Iran, Syria, North Korea, Cuba, Venezuela from purchasing farmland or land around critical infrastructure. In the case of the CCP, all real property. We don't need to do business with those who don't espouse our values. We have to protect and preserve our freedoms and land.
Absolutely. And you're very transparent about that. So a lot
of nothing to hide. That's right.
Protect what our founding fathers have built America on.
That's right. People talk about our conservative values, and I like to correct people. What we're talking about aren't conservative values, they're American values. As a conservative Republican Party, we don't own those. Those are the values that got us to where we are. We have to remember who we are. Because when you travel around the world, people remember what America is based on, what we do, what we stand for. We have to remember that as well. So we talked a little bit about the security, here and abroad. Educationally, I'm taking some of our best practices from the SOF community or Special Operations Forces community and applying them to how we do school safety. We ran a bill that's fully funded. We spent $14 million remapping all the public schools in the state of Florida because they're emergency management maps that the first responders and the schools operated off of were outdated, poorly facilitated, and had secondary, tertiary, and in some cases, quaternary levels of information that didn't solve problems. So if something did happen, heaven forbid, and you had to take a soft target out and move hard targets in, how are they going to communicate? Because there was no base product. So what we did is use what's called a grid reference graphic, or GRG, as our focal point. And every public school in the state will now be exactly the same, focused, and be communicated to our first responders, to our emergency managers, put in a digital format that works with our existing software, and in a paper format. So there is a way for them to get people in and out. It also helps manage the process from a budgetary standpoint. Some of these hadn't been updated in 10 years. So how do you build and purchase equipment for a school when you don't know how big it is, right? So this is a good thing.
Absolutely. Well, I wish you were in New York because we need leaders like you in New York, because it's not the case. We're here with Furbies, and as you heard, our kids, they go to school and they have cat litters. Your child is not a boy or a girl now. It's a how do you protect your children? I find a lot of people homeschooling now, but yet we still continue to pay school taxes for children to be manipulated. And God bless you. God bless your conservative values. God bless what you're doing in America, everything that you can to save America. In closing, anything you'd like to add?
Well, I'll leave you with this. I'm an optimist. Despite all the things I've seen around the world, there are commonalities with people. I believe people at their core are blessed and it can be good, but it's up to us to use our voice to rally people around us. And we have to use our intellect, but we can't fall victim to fear. Aphobos. I'll share a story and kind of paraphrase this. The book Gates of Fire. There's a young Spartan talking to an older Spartan, and they're talking about what is the opposite of fear. The young Spartan reflexively says it's aphobos, no fear. Older Spartan says, that's technically true. That is correct. But there's something more. What is it that drives somebody to run into a hail of gunfire? What is it that causes someone to give up all that they could be, all that they are, and all that they could be for someone they don't know? It's love. We have to love our people, our family, our friends, and our community more than ourselves. We have to be willing to sacrifice for the good of the nation, for the good of our community and our family and friends, we have to speak the truth. That courage, candor, commitment, that's our dance space. It's in our labs. If we want to change education, we have to use our voice. We have to make it happen. The paideia of American values, conservative Christian values, has been a long part of education. If you go back 100 years, you can see where they already started removing this through the process. We have to start re-implementing our American values, our American paideia as part of that. When we start doing that, our country continues to thrive, and we pass this on to the next generation. We can all do that. We can do it here. We can do it in all 50 states. There are more of us, and we all want our country to be successful. So let's keep moving forward.
Absolutely. Jay Collins making no excuses to moving forward and saving America. Thank you so much for coming on, Jay.
Ola, thank you so much. God bless.
God bless.